Chapter 5. Chapter 5, Metabolic Energy System Training. Part 5. Chapter 5, Metabolic Energy System Training. Part 5, page 210. This is closing out the chapter. Metabolics, energy systems, Stage 1, aerobic endurance. The first stage of this process is designed to develop a foundation of aerobic endurance and primarily utilizes long, slow, steady state training with moderately intense interval workouts. Zone 1 and 2 for a total of 4 to 6 days per week. Long, slow training sessions should start at like 20 to 30 minutes and gradually increase 40 to 60 minutes per session. The goal is to complete the amount of time set at a pace that can be sustained throughout the session and increase their pace over time. However, intensity or pace may be reduced in order to complete the total time, as it is better to complete the entire workout. However, intensity or pace may be reduced in order to complete the total time, as it is better to complete the entire workout. Moderately intense interval sessions lasting 15 to 30 minutes will provide adequate time for the development of metabolic energy system fitness. Repetitions lasting for 1 to 3 minutes with 1 minute recovery between intervals are appropriate during this stage. A mixture of steady state and interval workouts should be included in stage 1, with 2 or 3 workouts of each included the week. A mixture of steady state and interval workouts should be included in stage 1, with 2 or 3 workouts of each included in the week. Zone 1, 65 to 75% of 220 minus age. Zone 2, 80% to 85% of 220 minus age. Day 1, warm up and cool down. 5 to, you don't get one. Zone 1, recovery, 30 to 60 minutes. Day 2, 5 to 10 minute warm up and cool down. Day 2, 5 to 10 minute warm up, and maybe a 3 minute cool down zone, and then you go into zone 1, starts 3 minutes. So for 3 minutes you're doing 65 to 75% of your 220 minus age, and then you go into 3 minutes zone 2, anaerobic threshold. That's stage 1. There's a graph. Stage 2, anaerobic endurance. The second stage of metabolic energy system training combines race pacing, percentages of race pace, and high intensity intervals to promote aerobic endurance while enhancing high intensity endurance. A total of 4 to 6 workouts should be included in the week, with a mixture of steady state and interval workouts. As intensity increases, caution should be taken to avoid overexertion, using a decreased session lengths. As intensity increases, caution should be taken to avoid overexertion, using decreased session lengths to prevent excessive fatigue. Steady state workouts lasting 15 to 30 minutes and a high intensity interval session of 10 to 20 minutes are sufficient to continue fitness improvements. For percentages of race pace workouts can include 75 to 95% with intervals lasting 30 to 90 seconds. Rest during high intensity interval training should be kept at 2 to 3 times. Resting during high-intensity interval training should be kept at 2 to 3 times the length of work time, and 2 to 3 times the length of work time, in order to allow for adequate recovery. For example, if an interval workout consisting of workout bouts of 45 seconds is performed, at least 90 seconds of rest should be provided before beginning the next interval. See, 45 and 45 is 90, so that's 2 to 3 times. Athletes should be monitored for excessive fatigue and lingering soreness when progressing through stage 2. Increased intensities may result in greater need for recovery between workouts. Once again, Zone 1, 65 to 75% of 220 minus age. Zone 2, 80 to 85% of 220 minus age. Zone 3, 86 to 95% of 220 minus age. Anaerobic power. The third stage progresses to higher percentages of race pace. The continued use of high-intensity interval workouts, continuous heart rate training sessions in Zone 3, and gradual inclusion of repeated sprint training. This stage is completed after adequate training time in stage 1 and 2 have been. This stage is completed after an adequate training time in stage 1 and 2 have been completed to ensure each athlete has been prepared for the stress of high-intensity exercise. Repeated sprint workouts, along with race pace percentages of 95 to 110%, will promote improved anaerobic and power endurance. Along with continued improvements in aerobic endurance, repeated sprint drills, repeated sprint workouts, along with race pace percentages of 95 to 110% will promote improved anaerobic power and power endurance, along with continued improvements in aerobic endurance. Fewer workouts are performed each week to allow for a greater recovery between sessions, with 3 to 4 sessions per week sufficient for improved fitness. Fewer workouts are performed each week to allow for a greater recovery between sessions, with 3 to 4 sessions per week sufficient for improvement fitness. Repeated sprint workouts consisting of 5 to 20 sprints of 5 to 10 seconds are effective during stage 3. When using supramaximal race pacing greater than 100% of maximal race pace, sports performance professional must ensure athletes are capable of performing those intensities safely. For instance, a race pace workout of 110% of race pace would only be performed for 70 to 90% of the total distance that maximal effort could be sustained. So you got to shorten the distance if the intensity is higher. Once again, in stage 3, monitoring of soreness and fatigue are necessarily with reduced training loads occurring when more recovery is needed. Sport-specific training. Fourth stage of training process focuses on drills that help improve conditioning through the use of linear, multi-directional, and sport-specific activities performed as conditioning. This stage incorporates the movements, skills, and drills that coaches often use to practice sessions to apply a sport-related stimulus for metabolic benefits. The timing of the drills, the amount of rest provided, and the length of session can progressively increase to more stressful, game-like sessions as fitness improves and competition approaches. Following completion of stage 1 through 3, the athlete is prepared to specialize training in metabolic conditions that mimic the competitive circumstances faced in a specific sport. While on page 213, so Chapter 5 is the 200s. While heart rate monitoring is not required during stage 4, the professional may benefit from monitoring heart rates during a specific drills to get a picture of the relative intensity of the session. While consistent work in zone 2 and 3 are generally important for optimal sport preparation, caution is warranted to avoid excessive training volume at the higher intensities. 3 to 5 sessions per week are appropriate in stage 4. Training sessions where heart rates are in zone 3 for the majority of the time should be limited in length to less than 45 minutes in order to avoid excessive stress and fatigue. Sessions, chapter 5, sessions where most of the work is done is in zone 2 may be extended to 90 to 120 minutes. However, regular recovery and hydration periods should be included to ensure optimal training response. The integrated training approach. Once the athletes have progressed integrated training approach. Once the athlete has progressed through all 4 stages of metabolic energy system training, some may simply be returned to stage 1, so the process can be repeated. Others may need or desire to maintain high levels of aerobic and anaerobic fitness. For them, an integrated approach is most applicable. In the integrated training approach, workouts target different in the integrated training approach. Workouts targeting different physiological components are mixed into a single week of training. For instance, Monday and Thursday workouts may involve a long steady state training session to stress aerobic endurance. Tuesday and Friday could use interval sessions at various intensities to stress anaerobic endurance, and Saturday could then involve various sport-specific drills performed at game-like intensities. With this approach, workouts are performed frequently enough to maintain fitness developed through the stage training approach. It is recommended athletes first progress through stage training to develop the proper metabolic energy system fitness foundation before switching to an integrated training plan and focusing on sport-specific metabolic energy system preparation. It is recommended athletes first progress through stage training to develop the proper metabolic energy system fitness foundation before switching to an integrated training plan and focusing on sport-specific metabolic energy system. Checking for signs of overtraining. Be sure to monitor athletes for signs and symptoms of overtraining, including instability to reach training zones that previously were attained, disrupted sleep patterns, workouts described by athletes as draining, lack of feeling refreshed in the morning, or following sufficient recovery time. The importance of recovery days to an athlete's health and progress should be clear. As stress accumulates during a training cycle, careful monitoring of sleep, nutrition, and wellness is important to ensure sufficient recovery and regeneration between workouts. As stress accumulates during a training cycle, careful monitoring of sleep, nutrition, and wellness is important to ensure sufficient recovery and regeneration. Pro tip, metabolic energy system training periodization guidelines. Guidance. Off-season, more steady state training should be used for base training. Pre-season, increasing intensities through interval training to prepare for the season. Pre-season, increasing intensities through interval training to prepare for the season. In season, light to moderate sport-specific training to maintain gains. In season, light to moderate sport-specific training to maintain gains. Postseason, light, steady-state training for active recovery. Here we go. Applications to various sports. Continuous endurance sports, such as marathon racing, involve a different physiological demand as compared to interval sports, such as soccer, basketball, and tennis. Similarly, of the different training methods discussed, each stimulates slightly different physiological adaptations. Therefore, the sports performance professional should connect the fitness training strategy to the demands of the sport. While all methods of metabolic energy system training should be included in a well-rounded, long-term training plan, a greater focus on sport-specific methods is important for peak performance. The training year should involve a periodized plan including an alteration of training focus over time. For interval sports, the off-season should include a mixture of training methods with the intent to develop a good foundation of aerobic fitness. That's the off-season. Thus, greater reliance on steady state during the off-season training is appropriate. However, as the season draws closer, more reliance on interval training will prepare the athlete for the specific metabolic demands of an interval sport. Metabolic energy system training in season will depend on the individual athlete. This training should be light to maintain gains, but should not cause detrimental effects to the ability to perform. Athletes who play a great deal in games may not require a specific cardio training program. However, those who do not get as much playing time will not benefit from cardiovascular impact of regular play. A solid metabolic energy system training program will be important for them to maintain what gains they made throughout the off-season. A solid metabolic energy system training program will be important for them to maintain what gains they made throughout the off-season and preseason training program. A solid metabolic energy system training program will be important for them to maintain what gains they made throughout the off-season and preseason training. Once again, pro tip. Metabolic energy system training periodization guide. Off-season, steady state training should be used for base training. For the base. Preseason, increasing intensities through interval training to prepare for the season. In-season, light to moderate sport-specific training to maintain gains. Post-season, light, steady state training to active recovery. Summary. A personalized metabolic energy system training program is very important to help any athlete's goals by maintaining program efficacy and adherence. The professional can use various modes and methods to help an athlete develop higher levels of metabolic energy system fitness. The key to effective programming is assessing the athlete, determining the application of optimal training intensities, and progressing through stages to ensure maximal effectiveness. As training stress progresses, over time, careful monitoring of signs of overtraining should help avoid the negative consequences of excessive stress or inadequate recovery.